Tonight, on The Good, the Bad, and the Unknown, Estelle Getty stays golden, shoots with Sly, and dances with Barry? Roll the intro. Hello, boys and girls, the old friend RJ City, and I'm back with another episode of The Good, the Bad, and the Unknown, where I take one artist and I find a work of theirs that I like, one that I don't, and one that maybe not a lot of people know about, including myself. And on this show, we have talked about the wonderful Bea Arthur, we've talked about the delightful Rue McClanahan, and now we're rounding third in our Golden Girls baseball game because we are talking about a woman you know as Estelle Getty. But she was actually born Estelle Schur until she married a man named Arthur Gettleman, which gave her the stage name Estelle Getty. And you would think, since she's always known as this old lady character, she must have been in show business for a while and has an incredibly storied career, but when you compare her resume to the other Golden Girls, it's rather short, because for the longest time she was a smaller time actress on the New York theater circuit, had 2 kids, worked a lot of part-time jobs, struggling workman-like actor. Really did not get her big break in theater until she was almost 60 years old, when Harvey Fierstein, who, for those of you who don't know, was Robin Williams' brother who did the Mrs. Doubtfire makeup in Mrs. Doubtfire, wrote a part specifically for her in a play called Torch Song Trilogy. The play was a hit, she was a hit, great reviews, a lot of people saw it, including these producers who were interested in auditioning and then casting her for a little show they were working on called The Golden Girls. And because of that, Estelle Getty was the first official member of the Golden Girls, which is why my pick for the good is Sophia Petrillo, which, as you will now find out, was the longest lasting character from the Golden Girls. First of all, she played Dorothy Zbornak's mother. In actuality, Estelle Getty was actually 1 year younger than Bea Arthur. Very bizarre. Good slight acting. Here was the deal with the Golden Girls. Lasted for 7 seasons, undisputably a hit. We love it even more today, but it ended when Bea wanted to explore other things. Okay, fine. So in the storyline, Dorothy marries Leslie Nielsen, leaves the 3 other girls behind, and they eventually form a hotel. They run a hotel known as the Golden Palace. We've covered it in the Rue McClanahan episode, and it's best described as, well, a golden piece of shit. However, when the Golden Girls was still in production, they had an episode that was a backdoor pilot in 1987 called Empty Nests. And it was a backdoor pilot for a show that became Empty Nests. However, this backdoor pilot and the premise of the show originally are nothing like what it became. The original Empty Nest was to star Paul Dooley, who is Cheryl's father in Curb Your Enthusiasm, and Rita Moreno as next-door neighbors to the Golden Girls who have empty nest syndrome because their girls have left the house. That premise wasn't well received. That mix was just not working at all. So the producers revamped it entirely and did another backdoor pilot with Richard Mulligan as pediatrician Dr. Harry Weston, whose wife dies and his daughters come back to live with him. This, of course, becomes the empty nest that we are most familiar with. The Dr. Harry Weston character was still neighbors with the Golden Girls, and their house set was actually exactly the same as in the first backdoor pilot with Paul Dooley and Rita Moreno. This is a heck of a neighborhood. Empty Nest lasts 7 seasons and has its own spin-off called Nurses, which took place at the same hospital where Dr. Weston worked. Nurses lasts for 3 seasons, and at one point there was a back-to-back-to-back comedy block of Golden Palace, then Empty Nest, then Nurses, and they were all in the same meta younger wit universe. Sophia, Rose, and Blanche all make appearances on Nurses. When Golden Palace ends, however, Estelle, as Sophia Petrillo, joins the last 2 seasons of Empty Nest, the story being that at the end of Golden Girls, she burnt down Shady Pines. It's now been rebuilt, and she is going back there. Incredibly, I discovered something I did not know that adds to the tremendous legacy of Sophia Petrillo. She actually appeared in a 1991 episode of Blossom, where Blossom has a nightmare that she can't find any friends, and when she's an old lady, she fantasizes that she's dressed exactly like Sophia Petrillo, and then Sophia Petrillo comes in, and it's revealed that Blossom and Sophia Petrillo are friends. Yet, Sophia Petrillo dumps Blossom for her other friend, Six, who's dressed as an old woman, and they call her 60. It is a bizarre appearance. I don't understand why it happened, but I'm just so happy it did. So my good is the everlasting legacy of Sophia Petrillo. And now for the bad, which should not be a surprise to anyone because it's widely regarded as one of the worst films ever made. It's 1992's Stop! Or My Mom Will Shoot, starring Sylvester Stallone and Estelle Getty. It was a critical and financial failure. Stallone even admits he wishes he hadn't done it, and it's on the list of one of his great regrets. Here is the premise for those of you who have not seen this on TV on a Sunday afternoon. Stallone plays a cop whose mother comes to stay with him. She accidentally ruins one of his guns, so she goes to buy him an illegal one, at which point she witnesses a murder, then becomes embroiled in solving the whole case. Old women with guns, you get the gist. The whole reason Stallone is in this movie at all is because of a prank played on him by Arnold Schwarzenegger, who was sent the script and hated it, yet feigned interest, so Stallone would nab it and beat him to the punch. And it was quite a ruse, played by dear, sweet Arnold. The movie was very, very bad. It has an 8% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Sylvester Stallone has stated that it was the worst film he had ever starred in. In an interview with Ain't It Cool News, he said it was maybe one of the worst films in the entire solar system, including alien productions we've never seen, and that a flat worm could write a better script. It's an odd choice of worm. And in some countries, China, I believe, running the movie once a week on government television had lowered the birth rate to 0. If they ran it twice a week, I believe in 20 years, China would be extinct. Wow, poor Estelle. And you know it is a certified bad film because it was the recipient of 3 Golden Raspberry Awards, one for Stallone as Worst Actor, one for Estelle Getty as Worst Actress, and even worse screenplay. So if you really want a bad movie, you gotta go out of your way to see this. So the good was Sophia Petrillo, the bad was Stop! Or My Mom Will Shoot. And now for the unknown, which also doesn't sound very good. It's a 1985 TV movie musical called Copacabana, based on the Barry Manilow hit Copacabana, starring Barry fucking Manilow. To no one's surprise, he has 0 acting experience, and this is his first major role. Dick Clark came to him after the success of the song Copacabana, and it's a story song, so you think it's rife for more entertainment. He wanted to make this. It stars Barry Manilow as Tony and Annette O'Toole as Lola. And I believe Estelle plays Tony's mother. It was actually filmed while Estelle was auditioning for Golden Girls, so she's certainly on her way up here. It was shot in 22 days, which tells you how much thought and care they also put into the plot. Here's the major issue with this movie. If you know the song, then you know the entire plot, because that's all this is. Sure, there's more numbers, there's more dancing, but they draw out what you already know and what you're already expecting. I do not know why. Even when Barry Manilow went on The Tonight Show in 1985, he blurts out that Tony dies, and the audience groans, and he's like, oh, it's only a movie. It's a horrible movie. It was a terrible choice. Why would you do this? It's really hard to find. I've only seen a bunch of clips, bits and pieces. I've yet to find the whole thing. I've just read the reviews of people who have, and they said it's absolutely terrible. However, it did beget a lot of further stage plays, which makes, I think, a lot more sense because it is about stage performances. So if you ever see something like Barry Manilow Presents Copacabana, that is a stage musical based on the TV movie musical, which sounds just like it makes a lot more sense. Needless to say, any clip of this movie I've seen deduces to me that it is horrible. Barry Manilow is miscast, but also should not be casted at all. And the best part of all, and this is an uncovered gem, is who wrote this movie. You will never be able to guess that the 1985 TV movie musical Copacabana was written by James fucking Lipton. He does all this inside the actor's studio bullshit, and then turns out this. What are you gonna do? So the good was Sophia Petrillo, the bad was stop! Exclamation mark, or my mom will shoot. And the unknown, and let it remain unknown, was Copacabana. I am RJ City, and this is what I've chosen to do with my life.
Guests of the RJ City Show, subscribe to his channel, follow him on social media, and buy his t-shirts at prowrestlingtees.com/RJ City.